Thank you. I'm muted. This is just like the worst thing. I just went through this whole. Anyways, okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Konveyor Community Meeting. Today is February 22nd, and we abide by Konveyor Code of Conduct. I just dropped in the agenda link with a spelling mistake there. Please ignore it. And please feel free to add your name. I will drop again. Please feel free to add your name to the agenda. And I am Savita Raghunathan. I'm your host today. I'm gonna kickstart this meeting. Does anyone want to say hi? No pressure. All right, then. The first topic is an announcement update from David. So, David, whenever you're ready, please take it away.
That was quick. Let's see if I can share the right tab.
Savita is quick.
You guys able to see the slides?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. So I want to try and make this quick and talk about what we're trying to accomplish for .NET provider support in the v04 release. So it's been a while since we've said anything about .NET. A lot of the focus pre New Year was on everything for 03 and getting that ready and working. So we're back at it, and we have an enhancement that we'd like to talk about. So a quick overview of what I'm going to try to cover in the next 5 or 6 minutes is what exactly are we doing? What exactly are we not going to do? Want to make that clear. And why are we doing what we're doing? What's going on now? And like what's next? And what those mean will make more sense as we progress. So the first thing that what exactly are we doing? The main thrust of the enhancement is to make one thing possible, to make it possible for Konveyor users to write rules against C# and .NET applications and run those rules against sufficiently old .NET framework or Windows-only applications. And included in that is newer. So we want users to be able to write these rules. An example, you'll see namespace system web MVC, HTTP not found. We want to be able to find those references and call them out and make it so Konveyor users can write rules to say, hey, that's a problem. The reason we're targeting .NET Framework 4.5 as the support, like where we're drawing the line in the sand, is because that was EOL'd in April of 2022. Want to call out some specific things that we're not doing that may be important down the road. It's not clear, but we are not doing binary decomp in this go round. So it's source mode only. We are not doing dependency analysis. Part of the reason for that is it exists a built-in provider that can parse XML. So some functionality exists already to look for things in the XML files that are associated with .NET C# applications. And we're not promising, this enhancement doesn't promise a bunch of rule sets out of the box. This has to do with our lack of collective experience in .NET and all of the things that we need to be concerned about. So the focus is simply on getting the capability out into the community and get feedback on where we should be investing our time. Why are we doing this? Well, .NET is extremely popular for enterprise application developers, and there are a lot of instances of .NET applications and projects that need modernization and migration, which is like exactly what the people that we want to attract to our community. where are we now? It's actually where we were in September or October. We have proven our ability to run an analysis against a .NET Framework application. In our example, it was Nerd Dinner. We were able to find references in that project. We were able to give the coordinates to the analyzer LSP on how to like talk to that provider. And we were able to show a representative example of the type of problem we expect to be the most common. That is, the HTTP not found turned into not found in newer versions of .NET, .NET Core, and I think also .NET 6 and some of the later stuff. There's weird naming changes that have happened over time. So that toy example that we came up with was a fair, at least I think, representation of the problem, the most common use case, what we want to capture, what will make it useful. And so we've proven that we can do that. What we need to do is, I guess the best way to describe it is make it the shiniest turd possible. So it'll only have one trick that it can do, and we want to make sure it works for as many people as possible. And we want to get that capability into Konveyor, into the analyzer, and start cleaning it up. So the next steps are acceptance of the enhancement PR, as we just described, the PR to Analyzer LSP. This would make it a .NET external provider. It's going to be in tree just to make our building of it easier. I forgot to list it here, but we're going to have a Docker file that provides binaries specific for Windows that can be extracted out and used like we did in our toy example. And a major thrust after that is done is on documentation and cleaning up and trying to find issues with our approach. So it'll be taking that toy example and making a clear guide, walkthrough, demonstration of, here I take this Nerd Dinner application and I write some rules against it, and I run those rules and get the results and see where we are from there. There's some extra stuff where we can start seeing if we can write rules, see if we can get buy-in now that once we have something to show people, if we can get a community around it while it's upstream before V04 actually goes out the door. That would be great. If we could get rules written, that would be awesome, but it is not like a guarantee. I expect there will be bugs, and there were some issues that we had run into with the C# language server that may have been addressed in the time since. So we want to look and see if some of those issues have gone away. Maybe we can make contributions to it. Those are kind of the things that we're looking at. Any questions?
Yeah, I want to ask about the .NET Core. Is there any plan for that?
You should be able to run analysis against .NET Core, yes. But .NET Core is the easiest among them in that .NET Core can be built and analyzed in Linux containers, whereas the really old ones can't. So a big focus is on the harder case. We had actually proven that we could analyze a .NET 6 application. That was the first step that we made, probably June or July. of last year. So that should still be possible.
My question was more about like .NET to .NET Core, right? This is also something like one of the targets to have, right?
Yeah, what I was suggesting is that we can put in effort into making these targets, but we lack I personally lack the breadth of knowledge to say all these things must happen in order to do a .NET framework to .NET Core migration. So what the primary thrust of the enhancement is to make the capability. I don't want to promise in the 0-4 timeline that we'll actually have like a full rule set that is capable of providing that kind of target. But it's possible if we find users or anyone that knows enough that could actually write rules, that we could do that. But
so to test it in the near future or in once it's ready on 040, then that would be a for .NET Core, like trying it with .NET Core.
yeah, I think if we're talking about test, like how to test it, we would probably be exercising a .NET framework and trying to migrate it to .NET 6 and manually go through the process and construct all the rules that need to exist and need to be updated. That is how I would think it would happen. So we'd start with a few rules that we know must change based on that one link I had sent, construct those rules, run it, maybe even find an example of someone actually migrating Nerd Dinner to .NET 6 and see what changes need to be made. But that would be a lot of reverse engineering that needs to be done. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, David. So, do you have the PR link that you can share in the agenda? So, if anyone who has a feedback or questions can share and comment.
Yes, I will do that.
Thank you. So I'm gonna finish the enhancement highlight and then go back to the demos. So next up is Prinav. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Sorry, give me a second. Sorry. I thought I was third. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. Sorry, guys.
No worries at all. It's one of those Thursday mornings, evenings, afternoons, wherever you are. If you want, I could just fill this awkward silence with something that I can just blabber and not make sense.
That's
and
fine. That's fine. I'm almost there.
All right then.
Yeah, I just wanted to talk about an enhancement that we are working on, and it is about having a system in place that can help rule authors to test the YAML rules you write for Analyzer LSP. And mainly there are so the motivation behind this effort is that first we want to make it easier for contributors to contribute new rules to Konveyor, and for that the current process of testing rules is cumbersome. It's not easy to I wouldn't say it's not easy to run run the rules, but to verify the results of the output, it's not a straightforward job right now. We want to improve on that. We want to have a system in place in which you can write tests declaratively in YAML, and then you can test those rules by a click of a button or by just using one command. And you should be able to see the results of the tests. That's what really the objective of this effort is. Just make it easier for writing new tests. Another objective is that for all of the wind up rules that we have converted uh, for uh, for our current release, we want to convert the tests into our new YAML test format, so that we continue to have coverage for those old rules that we have already seeded. That's really it. And if I have something right now that I can show you around how it would be like to write tests using this. So I talked about the schema of the test in the enhancement, and in front of me I have that schema loaded up into my VS Code, and I just wanted to kind of show what the experience would be like to write a new test for a rule. Uh, and we'll just for now assume that we have some rules file, which is, yeah, go ahead, David.
Can you make the font a little bigger?
Sure. Is that okay?
I can read it now.
Way better, yes.
All right. So I have in front of me uh, a YAML file which has YAML rules for Analyzer LSP. And I just created another test file, another YAML file, which is a test for that rule, that rules file. And I'm just going to show you how it would look like to write tests for this rules file. So when I say tests, this file will contain one or more tests, and then for each test, you'll have a unique rule ID that you want to test. Let's say, then for each rule ID, you're going to have test cases. Like you might want to run test the same rule under different conditions. So let's say this is uh, uh, the first test case. Then you're going to choose what kind of analysis parameters you want to use. You can use a custom label selector, or you can also change the mode uh, of the analysis. When you move forward, you can actually write the contents of the test, which is in this test, I'll just check whether certain incidents are created when I run this rule. So I use has incidents. In there, I get different options. I can just check at a very high level whether a certain number of incidents are created. So I can use something like at least. So I want at least 5 incidents, and I don't care where. Or I can do a more detailed check by looking at each location. So in this kind of check, I'm checking, hey, I want to find one incident in this Python file on line number 15, and it should contain this message. Yeah, that's really about it. Like this is what the experience that we are after for writing new tests for a rule. And in future, now I'm not sure, and I don't want to say this, but I would really like to have a button over here which can also run this test right here in my IDE. it would be very similar to how you would run a
And we lost him.
yeah. So okay, now you see this. So the run.
Pranav, we lost you for the last 30 seconds.
Yeah. So I was just. Can you guys hear me now?
Yep.
So I was just showing that an example of a Golang test where you can see a run test button and it runs the test for you. I don't know how possible that is, but we want to get to a point where we see that button for our rule tests, where you can just press that button and the test will be run and you'll get the results in the same window. That's really all I had to share. Thank you all.
Thank you, Pranav. That was so cool. And if anyone is interested, there is a link to the PR and the agenda. Feel free to take a look at it, add your thoughts and comments. Any questions for Pranav? Cool then. So next up is Dylan for Emily. This topic on multi-language analysis.
Yeah, she's out today, but so I know I'm not going to be able to give the actual technical discussion that probably warrants it. I just wanted to call out that we're looking for feedback on it. So I think it's been up for a few days. I only see David's had a chance to review it. So if folks are interested and would like to provide some commentary, please do. I just want to call out that it existed. I have no discussion about it because I'm not in the loop. So
Thank you, Dylan. Cool. And if you all want to discuss more about analyzer work, there is also a office hours that happens the alternate Thursdays of community meeting, and I think it's at 11:30 a.m. Eastern. So feel free to hop on, ask your questions, and provide your feedback. Cool. So I'm gonna circle back to the demos and roadmap. We have one from Sam. It's on Kubernetes provider update and discovery add-on. Sam, whenever you're ready, take it away.
Thanks, Savitha. As always, my arch nemesis here, the screen sharing mechanism. Okay, that looks like it's working. Is the font big enough for everybody?
Yes, I can see it. But I'm not talking on behalf of everyone, so.
At least a good sign. Okay, so 2 weeks ago at our last session, we demonstrated the Kubernetes provider running a single rule in the scope of the Contra CLI tool. And at the time, we weren't able to run it directly through Analyzer LSP. Since then, we now have some more rules, and it's a well-behaved gRPC provider that we can run through the Analyzer LSP directly. Now, I've got instructions for how to do this now in the README. There is a small hitch with the Analyzer parsing. This new provider has a fairly complicated provider-specific config. There's a little parsing problem that I had to work around, so this won't run exactly the same way if you try and follow the example here, but hopefully that'll be resolved soon. And then this is just a little show off our new rules here, some simple stuff like missing readiness probes, things, basic best practice things for Kubernetes that we've got here. And over here in this window, I'll just start up the provider. And all I'm doing here is just running the conveyor analyzer from the command line in the usual way with provider settings pointed to the provider settings for this Kubernetes provider and this new rule set. We get a couple of little complaints just because there's no actual code, so there's no code location, but that's just fine. And then we're going to see should get some very reasonable output. In this case, I have a little single hello OpenShift pod running loose in my namespace, and it complains about this, that the pod doesn't have an owner reference. Its life cycle isn't being managed. Its availability is going to be terrible. This could go down at any moment, and I'd be in trouble. So that's just kind of where we were at from last time. Just wanted to catch everybody up on that. And then I have one other different demo I'd like to do now. Let me pull up my presentation real quick here. Let's see if this, and I'm sorry, but was there any questions on the other, the Kubernetes provider before I move on? So this is an add-on that I started working on last week that runs within the Konveyor hub's like tasking system, much in the same way that the analyzer does. This is a little tool that can automatically discover and tag applications in the Konveyor inventory with languages, frameworks, and tooling that the Analyzer source analysis tool finds. And I thought that this might be a first step to prepare for a more in-depth analysis with the Konveyor analyzer. Maybe this is something that we do as a first run prior to analysis, does some tagging of languages, frameworks, and so forth that we could use to help, for instance, sort out what providers need to be initialized while running analysis, or to decide what rule sets and targets to show to the user as they're navigating through the analysis wizard. Now, this is very early and experimental. And it certainly needs to be explored how this could fit into the overall Konveyor analysis story. But I think there's something promising here, which I will demonstrate if I can find my window again. Okay. So here I've got two applications. I've got the Java Day Trader app, and I have my own Konveyor Hub repo that are loaded up into Konveyor with their source repositories here. And I'm going to add the CR to my running OpenShift cluster, Kubernetes cluster, that just points to this the built image for this Analyzer add-on. Right, so that's now present. I just installed alongside the normal Analyzer add-on. And what I've got is just a little script that's just going to generate the task against the application. And this is in the repository, which I'll show the link for later. And all we're going to have to do is, this will do it for the tackle add-on here, and then we'll do it for the Day Trader. This is only going to take a second, and we'll just watch and wait for the tags to pop up. Now, I did this 100 times. There we go. All right, I was getting a little nervous. They didn't come up right away. Here we go. So we can see in both cases we've got language. It detects that there's presence of shell and Go in the Konveyor Hub repo. We're using the Gin web framework, which we certainly are, and we're using Go 1.20. And then the Day Trader app, it correctly detects the presence of Open Liberty and Maven usage, Java, etc. So in the slideshow, which is linked in the agenda, there's a link to the repository for this. This demo you can just run this with the scripts that are provided. It should work. And then there's a link to the Analyzer repository, which is the thing that does really all the work. It's doing all the detection of the languages, frameworks, components that are involved. And there you have it. Thank you for your time. Are there any questions?
I had one. One, this is awesome. And two, a question of like, I believe that this is what Contra is doing in the multi-language enhancement as well, using dev file Eliza to figure this stuff out. Are we making sure that the UX of the output of Contra and the UX of what you're going to be doing with this in the hub are going to be similar?
I'm not 100% sure that they're going to be so similar.
Okay.
My understanding with Contra is Contra's going to, at what you point Contra at your source repo, it's going to run this underneath, Eliza. It's going to run Eliza underneath, and then determine which providers to kick off, and it's going to be pretty automatic.
Okay.
The nature of things in the Konveyor hub, this is going to run probably when you add your source repo, and it's going to apply tags to the application, which is context that Contra wouldn't have, because Contra is just being pointed at the source repo. And then rather than having to run this at analysis time to determine what to run, then maybe based on the tags that are on the application, we could suggest targets and things like that. But this is, I kind of went off and I saw the recommendation for Eliza on that enhancement, kind of went off in my corner and started dreaming. So I don't have the UI for this entirely sorted out, but I think they're different use cases.
I think it makes sense to tag. Everything that you said makes sense. I think the thing that I was thinking about is that there is an output of Contra that is a UI that I thought had some sort of tagging infrastructure based on that UI. Like there's an output of Contra that is a UI that has those tags that are from those things. We should make sure that the tags that are applied on this are applied there. That's more or less.
Gotcha. I understand. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
That's literally all I had. This is awesome, Sam.
Thanks. Sounds like that's all the questions then. Thank you.
Thank you, Sam. Echoing what Sean said, this was an awesome demo. So we have reached the end of the agenda. Does anyone have any topics that they want to bring up? All right then. So if you have any questions, Slack is open 24/7. So if you have anything, just post there. One of us, whenever we are online and available, we will take a look at it and redirect or try and answer the question. And also we have mailing list if you want to communicate, send your queries there. That's all from me. So until I meet you all, take care and bye.